Hello, 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 hello. Hi, Robin, and hi, Becky. Robin from Maryland, Becky from Texas. How you doing? Thank you for stopping by. Today is Shirley's Tuesday, Wind Down Tuesday. I'm all set with my blackberry wine. How's everybody doing? I hope everybody is well. Um, Everything is well here on this end. I'm feeling pretty well. Eh, I'm feeling good because you two know about my those dadgum things I had to do, and I'm so glad I'm done with them. I'm so glad I'm done with them. I don't know what to do. Um, and you got your bag finished. Okay, great, good, 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 good. We'll get a chance to see it tomorrow. Hi, Karen from Eastern Oregon. How are you doing? Luciani. What part of Eastern Oregon? Olympia or is Olympus? That's the only place I know east in Oregon. Where are you? How you doing? Thank you for stopping by. I do appreciate it. Um, well, let me say hello to everybody out in Facebook land and YouTube land, and thank you so much for stopping by and supporting the channel. I do appreciate it as always. Also, I want to thank everybody that will be watching the replay. That is much appreciated, and I know quite a few of you all do that because you don't have the time to come in on the live, but that's certainly fine, no problem. But I do appreciate all of the support that I get from everybody that watches, whether it be live or the replay. The support is definitely appreciated. And if you like what you see, I'm going to try to remember to put this up front as well at the back. Give me a thumbs up if you like it. Hit the notification bell. Subscribe if you have not subscribed. And share. And put in comments. I love reading the comments. I love answering questions. So all of those things as well. Do appreciate it. Just become part of the community and let's communicate. I do love that. Hi, Taisha. How you doing? Thank you for stopping by. Oh, your class was canceled. Oh, yeah, I understand those medical tests and stuff. Hi, Carol. How are you from Montana? How you doing? Hi, Val. How are you? Hi, Danielle. How you doing? How's everything going? Do appreciate everybody stopping by. Yep. Hopefully we'll have a lot of people in tonight. I hope so. Tonight we'll talk about this, that, and the other. I will tell you in a little bit what prompted me to come up with the topic that that I put up. My mind gets to flowing. Sometimes I'm struggling. Say, okay, what can I talk about? What can I talk about? And then something will pop in my head, and then I'll say, okay, let me figure this out, and then we could talk about it. So glad that we're going to have a conversation on honing your skills. Um, so Taisha, you're asking Becky about you were able to finish the bag. Yeah. Hi Deborah, how you doing? Thanks for stopping by. I do appreciate it. Gonna wait a few more minutes. I know it's gonna be a few more people dropping in a little bit, and once we get about 5 more minutes, get everybody in. I hope everybody's day has been well, and it's the beginning of the week. Even though tomorrow's midweek. Um, my week has been yesterday was a good day because I got done with those stoves. That was a good day. I talked about those stoves and graduation shawls or whatever you want to call them um, last week, and I had three of them to do. Never done them before. One of them was especially challenging for me because one, it was of that satin nylon type of material, which is very difficult to stitch on. and two, I had to take it all the way loose, stitch on it, and then sew it all the way back together and try to make it look like it had never been touched. That is a challenge. That was a challenge, trust and believe, because I am not a sewist at all. But anyway, that project is completed. I wanted to get it done. Her party is going to be Saturday. She is going to stop by, pick it up either Thursday or Friday, and all should be well. Sent her picture. She was happy. So that's how it goes. But anyway, so yesterday was a wonderful day for me when I was able to say, "Shh, that's done. Don't want that project ever again. That is off of my list. Don't, that's not my thing. Not my thing at all. Not that the other ones were hard. It's just that the importance of it, and I think that was where my stress level was. I recognize the importance of these souls, and you want to make sure that everything looks good. And the fact that I did mess up one right off the bat, and time was growing near, and did not have the um, the option of messing up anymore. So that made me very nervous. I tell you, I was that hitting that button to start that first stitch took me a minute. I procrastinated as much as I could because hitting that button, I was serious. I was nervous. I really was because I did not want to mess up anymore. And but anyway, and Taisha said I did a great job finishing them. Thank you so much. I do appreciate it. I had to send the finished product out to a group of people just so they could see that I did complete the chore. Yes, I did, and glad that that's over with. So anyway, so it is about 9 minutes after the hour. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started with tonight's topic. And the conversation I was just having is actually what led me up to um, thinking about this particular topic, honing your embroidery crafting skills for a successful embroidery business. Because I know I've mentioned several times that I'm not contemplating anymore. I am going to open my Etsy shop. Actually, yesterday, was that yesterday? Yesterday, I did put forth an effort to try to open it up and realize I didn't have everything I needed. So I couldn't do that. So, yes, that is going to happen. I just have to do a few more things before I actually can. And it was quite interesting. And I know this is off topic, but not really. It's kind of mm, meshed in here together, and I'll tie it all up. But anyway, we've talked about names and what have you, and on Etsy, you can only use 20 characters in your name. So that puts everything at a limit right there. And so it is recommended that you have several names selected so you can go through and see what's available. And I have to tell you every name, and I think I had at least 5 or 6 names, and every one of them had been taken. Every one of them. They did give you suggestions that were kind of similar to what you were putting in. Some of them was some of them was okay, but it was just interesting to see that because they have millions of people that have Etsy shops uh, coming up with a unique name is not the easiest thing to do. And I had been reading up on it and everything, so I expected that it would be challenging, but it was kind of interesting. I'm not going to say disappointing, um, but it was interesting that every name I chose, somebody else had chosen it. It was like, really? You have got to be kidding. Everybody. Anyway, so honing your embroidery crafting skills for a successful embroidery business. Now, with that in mind, opening up an Etsy shop and thinking about, am I ready? And I've been thinking about this quite a bit. And the stress of doing the project that I just completed, that I just talked about, as far as the graduation stoles are concerned. Those things were running in my mind. And I have to admit, it's been a lot of pressure and a lot of stress thinking about both of these things. And what it does, or what it has done for me, is to make me think deeply. Am I ready? Am I ready? And with that being said, as I mentioned in my little scripted information, a lot of people will buy an embroidery machine, be it a single needle or a multi needle. Usually it's a single needle machine because that's the easiest to get, and they will instantly believe or plan to start a business. I got my machine, I'm so happy, and I want to start a business. And that's the first thing that they think about. I have a machine, I'm going to start a business. And it's not that simple. It's really not that simple, people. Um, yeah, the opportunity is there. But please don't let anyone fool you to think that just because you have a machine means that you're ready to start a business if you are new to embroidery. If you have never done embroidery before, this is a new skill, new hobby, new venture, whatever the situation is, and you have never embroidered on a embroidery machine before. Don't jump in here thinking that you can immediately start a business because your skill level will not be there. And I have to tell you, I have had people come to me wanting me to do a job for them, which is sort of a second job request for them because they went elsewhere and what was presented to them was substandard. And it was obvious that that person didn't really know what they were doing or didn't realize that what they did was not the best, I guess. Because when I first looked at it, I could instantly tell, that's a hot mess. you know, Poor registration. It was just bad. I've seen this. And I've also seen people that want to immediately start digitizing. And I have to admit, I thought about it too. Not that I was going to jump up and do digitizing for anybody because I knew I didn't know how. But I didn't realize how complicated that process is because when I first started embroidering, digitizing was definitely on my plate. I even bought a digitizing software. I got sucked into it because I'm thinking that, I'm smart, I can do this, and I probably can if I put my mind to it and really wanted to do it. But once I took a little mini class, I realized "Hmm, this is not as simple as people think it is, and you can't just jump into it. Now, oftentimes people will do auto digitizing, and I highly discourage that, especially if you're going to. Well, thank you, Margot. Appreciate it. And hi to you, and thank you for the super chat. I do appreciate that. Thank you. Yay. Appreciate that. But what I was saying, I highly discourage anybody doing any auto digitizing and trying to sell it. Please don't do that please don't auto digitize anything and then sell it to somebody. You can do it for yourself. And as you get better and learn more about how to digitize registration, the pool composition, all of that stuff, that the underlay, all of the things that come into play with proper digitizing, then maybe you can correct whatever mistakes may form from the auto digitizing, but to actually do it and put it out there to sell, it's a disservice to your customer, and it's not going to get you far in your business. I bought a design once, and I I know for a fact that had to have been an auto digitized design. That was the worst design I had ever seen in my entire life. I tried to stitch that mess out, and it was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. And they were selling it on Etsy. I paid for it. And I was appalled. I could not believe that somebody actually put that out there in the universe to sell and make money off of. Now, did anybody else buy that particular design? Probably not, because it was um, a specialized design. But I Googled it. Well, not Googled it. I went on Etsy and I searched for it, and it popped up, and I bought it because it's what I wanted. But you don't have any way of knowing if that particular design is good or not. But anyway, I'm just talking to people that are interested in having a successful business and honing your skills. And that was just one thing that popped in my head as we were talking, because I wanted to make sure that um, people that are new get good information. Now, I have seen various content creators do a lot of shortcuts, workarounds, what have you. And that's okay if for them. Let me put it that way. That's okay for them because they have their skills and they know what they're doing for their particular job, business, hobby, whatever it is. I'm not naming any names, but I know people that do that. And it works out fine for them. Matter of fact, I watched a video, well, actually, two different people videos today, and one was, I believe this person is a baby lock representative, I believe, and she was talking about embroidery tips and skills. But what she did, and she made it very clear, I'm telling you what I do. This is what I do, and it's up to you to follow what I do or not. Um, that's good and bad because what works for you may not work for the other person. There are industry standards that should be followed, and I believe in following industry standards as much as possible. Now, you can definitely say, this is what the expert says, but this is what I do because this works for me. That's good. That's good because a perfect example, she was talking about the needles. She was using a Solaris. Embroidery machine, Baby Lock Solaris. That's their high-end single needle machine, uh, the sister to the Luminaire, for anybody that's not familiar with a Solaris. And she was talking about the needle that she uses. And she said she used a 9014 period all the way around. No other needle. That's it. That's all she uses. But then she clarified because I was like, really? And then she said, I do mostly vinyls and leathers and denims and stuff. And then I said, okay, well, then that makes sense. But for her to put out there, okay, this is what I use, I don't need to use anything else, without that clarification, would not have been, I don't think, a good recommendation. And I tell you why. I was told in the very beginning of my embroidery the same thing about a particular person said I use 9014s. And so I changed all my needles to 9014 because this is what I was told to use. And then I had a tech check it, and he said, "Well, why do you have such a large needle in here?" I didn't know. I didn't know. I just did what I thought the person that was saying it knew what they were talking about. I didn't realize that the standard needle size is a 7511. Most people use a 7511 unless you're doing some type of specialty fabric or whatever, then you adjust accordingly. That's this industry standard. 7511 usually works for most things. Now, if you have small letterings or you're using a 60 weight thread, 65.9. If you're doing denim or something like that, you may do 116, you may do 9014, you may do 8012, whatever. But those are the things, you don't have to have a needle for everything, but some people do. I do. I use a metallic needle for metallic thread. I use a leather or vinyl needle for when I'm doing vinyl or leather. And you got your ball points and you have your sharps, and it just depends upon how you use that based upon the fabric that you have. That's the industry standard. So I think that's important to express and let people know that this is industry standard, especially when you're new and you're starting off. Learn what the right way is, then pare it down to what makes sense to you. Um, Now, as far as her bobbin, that part was okay. She used a regular Field Tech bobbin, mostly white all the time. I use a Field Tech magnetic all the time, unless I'm doing freestanding lace or I'm doing dark fabric, then I use black. So I'm using white or black, and I will use um, a colored thread if I need to use a colored thread, and that is not a magnetic bobbin, even though I think I have some red magnetic threads that I got off of, and I think they're Field Tech. And they have different colors, and I got them off of Amazon. And the reason I did that is because I like to do freestanding lace, and I'm horrible, horrible, horrible at rewinding bobbins. I have to tell you that every time I try, sometimes I get it right, but most of the time I don't. And I've not been able to get it right quite with the tension for the multi needle machine. So that has been my biggest concern because I want to make sure I have the right tension with the when I'm winding my bobbins. So I try to use magnetic threads for everything, but that's because I use I'm working on a multi needle machine. If you're working on a single needle machine, then you don't have to do that. You don't need to have you don't have to have a magnetic uh, bobbin, and mostly white or black, or you can wind your own color based upon your need. If you want everything to be the same, if you're doing freestanding lace or something like that, where you want the top and the bottom to be exactly the same, and that's what I do. Um, so um, that's what she talked about. She talked about the needle, the thread, the bobbin. She also talked about her stabilizer, and um, she mentioned something that was interesting. I'm not a sewist, so I don't know if this is a standard practice or not, but she puts SF 101. We learned how to use that with the Christmas tree skirt. She uses that interface on all of her garments, and then she hoops it with a no-show poly mesh. And I know that the SF 101 gives a good stabilization, and it does cut down on puckering. So I can see where that makes a lot of sense, especially if you're using cottons and different things like that. That's a really good idea. I had never thought about that, but again, I'm not a sewist. So I thought that that was a really good idea. However, it can get expensive because if you don't catch it on sale, that's like $7, 7.50 a yard for the SF 101 is a Pelon interface. I love it. You can get it by the boat, but I highly recommend that you catch it on sale. And if you catch it on sale, half price, and by the boat, you get an additional 15% off, and that's at Joanne. So, I didn't think that that was a bad suggestion. So I got a few. Hi, Marissa. How you doing? I spoke to Margot. Who else came in here? Hi, Pearl. How are you? Um, Carol, you said you have dabbled in digitizing. And you love it, but don't have the time yet to dedicate to making it good enough to sell. Okay, well that's good. It's always good to know a little bit about it because I definitely want to learn a little bit about it so I know when it's how to fix something that's bad. And Carol, you also say it's important to learn the why behind the industry standards. And then there is always the all important manual. I need to use it more myself. And that is absolutely true. And based upon industry standard, I have to tell you, and I mentioned this in several videos in the past, but I'm a student. I've always been a student. I whenever I take on a new venture, the first thing I do is get books and read them. Is that old fashioned? Yes, but that's what I do. I'm reading Etsy books now. I don't like reading stuff off the computer and off my phone and all that kind of stuff. It's not good for my eyes, and it's old. It's the newfangled stuff. I like a book because I like to mark up my book and all of that stuff. And I know you can mark up on the computer and stuff. But when I first started embroidering, I bought books. This is a good book. Modern Machine Embroidery, Lisa Archer. This is a very good beginner's book. It shows you all kinds of stuff. The other one that I got that I really love is the Sewing Machine Embroidery Bible. And this tells you everything there is to know about an embroidery machine, the different types of embroidery designs that you can do, the materials, the hooping, how to position. It talks about how to download a design, how to put it on it just tells you everything. It's the basic, it's the Bible as it says. And in the Who project, it even goes over, and I don't know if you can see it, but different designs that usually show up on an embroidery machine because it does talk mostly about a single needle machine. Actually, I believe it's a brother machine because it looks just like a PE 800 or a SE 1900. And she even goes through the parts of the machine, everything. I recommend a new person get something like this, even if you have to get it and read it on Kindle or something, and your manual. Now, the manual can be confusing. I look at the manual, sometimes I have to read that thing 3 or 4 times before I understand what they're trying to tell me. And I am so thankful for the book that I bought, the entrepreneur, where is it? Playbook. I got the playbook. So again, as you can see, I'm a book person. But this lets you do projects. And these other two books let you do projects as well. Because the first one that I showed you actually has a CD in the back of it where you have projects and stuff. Now, where did I get them? I got them off of Amazon. But I got these books and I read. Now, I'm not going to say I read word for word back, from cover to cover, but I read enough information and combined that what I was looking at online to give myself a good footing. So when I did start embroidering, and I did this stuff before my machine actually got to me. Once I got my machine, I felt very comfortable embroidering, very comfortable. And I was able to answer a lot of questions. And that's one reason why I think I started my channel as early as I did, because I had learned quite a bit. And, people were asking me questions anyway, and I realized I was answering them. I said, so why not? But that was because of preparation. And but still, did that mean that I was ready to do a business? No, it did not. Even though I thought, like other people, that I was, and I did for a short period of time during the pandemic, and it was I would say 99% mask. I did a few other things. I did some shirts. I did some sublimations. I did t-shirt sublimations and stuff like that. Embroidery t-shirts and sublimation of t-shirts and stuff. But 99% of the business that I did was making masks. Was quick and simple, no big deal. Everybody in the world was doing it. But as I ventured on and wanted to do business, I realized maybe I'm not quite ready. I know how to do this, I know how to do that, but do I know how to do everything? No. And nobody's going to know how to do everything, but you need to know what you don't know so you can get help, so you can look it up, find it on YouTube if possible. If you have a mentor, get a mentor. If you can take a class, take the class. Whatever you need to get better, to learn, and then go ahead and try to do something and sell it. Make sure when you look at your product that you put out there, you would buy it. I think that's the best advice. If I saw this product in the store, would I buy it the way it looks? Not, oh, it's good enough. Is this good where I would spend my hard earned money and whatever price that you're charging? You may say, well, I'm not charging a lot for it, but that doesn't matter because you're shooting yourself in the foot. Because if you start off lowball when you have a business, now I've told you in the past, when you're doing stuff for friends and family and stuff like that, you need to charge them. You may not need to charge them the highest amount until your skill grows, but you still need to charge them because you got material and stuff to pay for. But I'm saying when you call yourself doing a business and you putting it out there to the public, you're making it and you're going to fairs, you're putting it on Etsy, you got a website, you got business cards, whatever it is that you do. And people come to you and say, make this for me, do this for me, and you do it and you hand it to them. Is that product looking good enough where you would pay for it? And if you say no, then don't do it. Get better at it. Because I know there are times when I make something and not to sell, and I'll do it, and I say, "Oh crap, I messed up. It's free," and you go ahead and give it to whoever you plan to give it to. You justify by saying it's free, no big deal. But I never would sell it. I never would sell. And to be perfectly honest about it, rarely would I give it away because it's a reflection of me. And I don't want anybody looking at anything that I've done and said, nothing from her because she don't know what she's doing. I don't ever want that. I don't ever want that because you're shooting yourself in the foot. You're not going to ever be able to grow a business because your reputation is going to follow you and it's going to say you don't know what you're doing. Hi, Jeanette. How you doing? I just saw that pop in here. Uh, and you said you would mess up your reputation if you don't do quality work. Yes, that is 100% true. You got to know what you're doing before you put it out there. Um, Let me see. Trying to catch up. Hi, Joyce from Philly. How you doing? Um, Taish, in sewing garments, you need stabilizer in button bands, cuffs, and collars other than the SF 101. Other than that, the SF-101 is not necessary. Now, me learning how to sew a zillion years ago in home economics, and that's the only training that I've had, and that's been a zillion years ago. We use interface for, like you said, the button band, the cuffs, the collars, so forth and so on. We didn't put, and that's what we call an interface, and we didn't do the SF-101. However, when I looked at what she did, and I remember what we did um, for the Christmas tree skirt, that SF-101 did help us not have puckering. And that's where I was coming from, and I'm assuming that's what the lady was coming from with whatever she was doing. I don't know what her projects were beyond her saying vinyls and leathers and denim and stuff like that. So she did have a piece of cotton. I don't know what she was going to do with it, but she did have it with the Fuse SF-101, and she was going to embroider on it because she was going to stabilize it with the poly mesh. So that's what she decided to do. Um, so anyway, that that was what she did. Now, as usual, I will go to my favorite person, that's the AI, and ask them questions. And I did ask the question, and pretty much a lot of what I've just said, uh, the AI was saying, and that's understanding the basics. You definitely need to understand the basics before you venture out to start trying to do a business on your own. You need to know how to operate your machine. You need to know how to operate your machine very well. And when I say that, I'm thinking more on the line of a 10 needle machine, like 10 needle machine that I have. There are a lot of functions on that machine that will save your life. If you learn how to use it, you will be surprised how much you can be saved. I mean, I have been able to um, not unhoop something, but pull it out. Well, actually, the perfect example, I did a sweatshirt for my grandson, and the wording that I wanted to put across the back of his hoodie was longer than the 8x13 hoop that I have. I wanted to do that whole back, and I think I had measured it out to 18 inches is what this lettering was going to be, and it was applique. So what did that mean for me? I'm gonna have to hoop that thing twice. So I'm gonna have to do part of it and then rehoop it and do the other part. But I wanted it to line up and I wanted everything straight. And I did all my measurement with the chalk and all that kind of stuff like that. And something happened. I cannot remember exactly what happened, but something got out of place. And luckily I knew enough about how to handle my machine to be able to look at my camera and get that point right back where I wanted it to be. And kept on stitching it out, and it came out perfect. I was like, phew. I was hoping it was going to work. It made sense in my mind, and I can't uh, describe it any more than that because I don't even remember what the buttons that I hit. I do know that I used the camera and I used the crosshair, and then you do your ups and down movement to get it where you need to get it. But that camera saves your life, and that crosshair saves your life. So it's possible. But if I didn't know how to use my machine, if I was not aware of the function, if I was not aware that this was a possibility, that would have been a messed up, ruined shirt. And I wasn't having it. I had put too much effort into it. But anyway, know your machine. That's the first thing. Once you are comfortable with all of the functions of your machine, and especially the ones that can save your life, then you need to get comfortable with your tools. You need excellent scissors, especially if you're doing appliques. You need to have good applique scissors. Now, I have several pair, and they have different functions. I have the one that is curved, I have the one that's double curved, and I have the ones that are real sharp and pointed. And when I'm cutting around my applique, I use the double curve. Even if I take it off of my machine, I use the double curve. But if I have like a B or a or something that needs to be cut out, I get the little pointy one and use it so I can get in there, lift it up, and cut it without cutting through the stabilizer. Then I get my other scissors and go back and finish cutting. That's my technique, and it works for me. But if I didn't have multiple scissors and stuff, I wouldn't even be able to do that. So you got to know what tools you need. You need scissors, you need tweezers, you need marking pencils. I use marking pencils, but I use tailored chalk mostly. I prefer that because it comes up easily because I can't remember if the marking pencil is heat, water, or what, so I just said forget it. I know chalk. I know what chalk does. So I use chalk mostly when I'm doing my marking. And you need your rulers. And if they're expensive, but if you can afford it, get the ruler. And I don't remember the brand because I don't own one yet. There are rulers that don't move because my biggest problem is I can put my ruler down and it moves. It just drives me up the wall. I bought the spray they told me to spray it with, and it's sticky. I don't like it. I only used it once. But there are rulers that you can buy, and like the big one that is like 2 feet long, I think it is 24 inches. I think the 24, the 6 by 24 costs you $50, $60 just for the one ruler. So I've yet, when I go into Joann, they have the coupon, they don't even have them. That's why I haven't bought them yet. Because I'm trying to buy it when I get a discount on it because I don't want to pay $50 or $60 for for the ruler. I guess I probably just have to. Is it Quilter Select? Is that what it is? I don't know. I don't remember what the brand is, but there is a brand and it doesn't move. So if that's the case, I don't know. And um, Jeanette said you can buy the little stickers you can put on the rubbers to keep them from slipping. I have them somewhere. I remember buying them. I haven't put it on my ruler yet, but thanks for reminding me, Jeanette, because I did buy the little stickers. Um, hopefully they work. And Kara, you said, I wish that the camera crosshair was a little bit smaller. It kind of covers up the very center stitch. Is there a way to make it smaller? Not to my knowledge. I'm not aware that it can be made smaller. I've not read or attempted to read anything about that in the manual, but I would venture to say if it is, it would be in the manual, but I'm not sure it is, Carol. I've not had that issue though. You can you there is a button on the machine where you can make the picture bigger, the design bigger. So that should eliminate the need to make the crosshair smaller. Just make the camera picture bigger. Then it should hopefully that'll help. I don't know. Hopefully that'll help. But I know you can there's a plus sign that you can click that's gonna make it bigger. Um and you said Olaf, Fisker, and Quilter Selects are what you have. It's not Fisker, I can tell you that now. My Fisker moves and jumps all over the place. So it's not the Fisker. And the other one that I have, I don't know if it's an Olaf or what it is. I don't know what it is. It is a Omni Grip. It's an Omni Grip. So it ain't the Omni Grip. That moves too. Um, so what else? Okay, I think I caught up with all of the comments and stuff. I don't know what that brand is, but it's supposed to be a brand, and I've seen it in the my sewing bag, and that's where it costs like 60 something dollars up in there. Jeanette, you said Omni grips are nice, really. Yeah, I love my Omni grip. That's the one I use all the time, and I have the little suctional handle that goes on there. Um, I'm thinking about gluing it on there because every once in a while that thing pops off, and I get, you know, it's supposed to be stuck and it just comes off. Well, I have no idea why, but I said maybe I'll just glue it on it because I'm not gonna ever want to take it off. So just put some glue on it. I don't know, but yeah, I use the what is it? Grid, Creative Grid. Is that a ruler brand? Maybe I don't know. Like I said, I don't remember what the brand is because I haven't been out there in a while. I do know that they sell a, brand ruler where it's not supposed to move at all, and they're the one that sold me the spray because I was gonna get it, and I was like, I ain't paying that much money for it. I'm gonna try to get it on sale, and I haven't. I need to know what the brand is so I know when I can get it on sale. Ah, that would make sense, wouldn't it? That would make sense. So, understanding the basics and learn everything that you can as far as your notions are concerned, what it is that you need to get started, your stabilizers, what the stabilizers are for. Now, I don't personally recommend that you get 50 million zillion weights of stabilizers. I know they have the light, the medium, the heavy, the whatever, whatever. I don't recommend that. I'm not going to tell you not to, but for me, I do have tearaway and I have cutaway. I have cutaway poly mesh and I do have black and white, and I'm looking to get the beige because I saw somewhere where it was recommended to use beige under white because it doesn't show through as much. And I know no show poly mesh literally doesn't show through either, but that beige does make sense. And I actually bought some. I haven't used it yet. The little 8x8 squares just to check it out to see if it makes a difference. I don't know. But I do know that OESD sells it, and I think Floriani sells it. Those are the ones that I know sells it, and I think you can get it from All Stitch. I think because I looked for it, but I haven't bought a big roll. But again, I have cutaway, tearaway, no show mesh, sticky stabilizer, fusible mesh, and water soluble. I do have the thick patch um, stabilizer, and I have Violin, which is a water soluble, but specifically for freestanding lace. I think those are the varieties of stabilizers I have and I use. Now, whether or not what sizes you buy and all that kind of stuff is an individual preference. I do like to get the, I think it's an 8x8 size or whatever to put in my 5x5 mighty hoop because it just saves time. And when I'm doing left chest logos and stuff like that, I just grab and stick it in there. Um, More expensive, yes, than cutting it out, but it, you know, until I actually start doing my business takes off and I'm doing a lot, then I'll probably continue to do that because I'm not doing so much that the cost is is that bad because I'll buy some and I don't have to buy any for a while. Um, just get the size that works for the hoops that you're using. Pretty much is what I recommend. If you're not using great big hoops, then you don't need great big stabilizer. You just get the size that you need. And John Deere says it doesn't matter what brand you buy, so don't jump up and buy Floriani or ESD and all of that kind of stuff just because of the brand name, thinking that they're better stabilizer. He says they all come from the same place. They're made by the same people. They just parcel them out to the different companies and they slap their names on it and send it to you, which I believe that to be 100%. So he is saying don't waste money buying quote unquote name brand stabilizer. Just get the type of stabilizer that you need and get the stabilizer that is right for your project. That's important. So that goes back to the basics, knowing what's right for your project. And there are tools to help you. This is one that the dime embroiderer's compass costs about $20 on Amazon, 25 if you buy it from Dime. At least that's the last price that I saw for, and I'm sure this is the case in most embroidery software because I know Wilcom Hatch has it. I don't know about PE11 because I haven't played with that one that much, but Wilcom Hatch and Embrilliance has a component in the software that's called the one in Brilliance, I think is Project Advisor. And if you click on that particular button and you tell them what fabric you're going to use or whatever, and it'll pretty much suggest to you the same thing that the compass does, the needle, the stabilizer, and all of that. Now, the one thing that I have found, which is interesting, um, they don't always say the same thing. And the reason I said that is because the project that I just did with the graduation stole, the one that was satinish, nylon satinish type stuff. I looked it up on here and I looked it up on Embrilliance and they said two different things. So one said hoop, one said don't hoop. What do you do? I don't know. Interesting. I just found that to be interesting when I was doing my research and in preparation to do my project, which is another thing to talk about when you are getting yourself ready or making sure you hone your skills. You need to do test stitches, especially when it's something new to you. When you are using a new fabric that you're not familiar with or comfortable with, when you're using a design, especially when it comes from a digitizer that you don't know, like buying stuff from Etsy. I'm not going to tell you, and I know some people say to stitch out every, um, do a sample on every design. I'm not going to tell you that because I'd be stitching forever on all these different designs I have. But I do recommend that you stitch out something that you're unfamiliar with. Like I was back to my project that I just completed. I had to do um, three stoles, and I had three designs digitized by your digitizer, Jeanette. I use him. He's great. I love him. And Fossil, I think is his name. I hope that's the correct pronunciation. But anyway, he did a fantastic job. But I wanted to make sure that everything was going to stitch out correctly, and I also wanted to make sure that I got an approval from the person that was paying for it because this was a relative, and they're gonna pay for that digitized. And so I stitched each one of them out and everything in the size that it was gonna be on the stove and so forth and so on, and laid it out the way that she said she wanted it and everything, and took a picture so she could see what it looked like to get thumbs up and all that kind of stuff. So that was a sample. And, there were other things that I had to do because she wanted the schools that she went to on one side of the stove and the year that she graduated and got her degrees because she just got her PhD. So she had her BS, her master's, and her PhD from three different schools. So she wanted them to match up, and the BS with the year and the MS with the year and the PhD with the year is everything that I created in and breathe. So naturally, I wanted to stitch that out to see how that was going to look and make sure it lined up. And I went through a process. I went through a process. I put it in there and sized it all up and printed it out and put them together. And are they even in size? Are they going to match up? I mean, all of that. Now, somebody that's brand new with embroidery, would you have known to do that? Would that have even crossed your mind that that was something to do to make sure that your project came out correctly? I don't know. I don't know. But I knew that this was a process that had to be done. Um, the one that was done on the satin sash stole was not fun. And I had to make sure those things were going to line up because she wanted information on this one and some more information on this one, the design and it was just a lot. It was just a lot. Trust and believe me, she wanted the works. You hear me? She wanted the works. And it was work. It was a lot of work. And because I wanted everything to be even and everything to look right and line up. And when she's wearing it, it is draping and hanging. I put it on, and she's not as busty as me, so hopefully it'll lay a little bit better. But I wanted, the draping to be fine, and when it lays down, it's gonna fall down the way it's supposed to fall down, where they're going across and lining up. And Hi, Veronica. How are you? I was trying to figure out. And hi, Leslie. How you doing? Thanks for dropping in. Uh, okay, you have to go. Thanks for stopping by, Jeanette. I do appreciate it. We got to talk, and I hope everything's going well with you with work. But I do appreciate you stopping by. Take care. Talk to you later. Um, but anyway, it was work, and this is something that you honing your skills. Like I said, that was something that I tested my skill with because I said, am I able to do this job and do it correctly? When I took it on, I felt mentally I can do it, and I knew that I knew the process that I needed to do it in, but actually, is it going to work out? Yes, it's going to work out because I'm going to make sure that it works out. I'm going to put forth every effort I can to make sure it works out. And it did. It turned out very nice. I'm very happy with it. I did get some thumbs up from other people that I showed it to. She gave me a thumbs up, so it turned out fine. Now, the next thing that the AI said is practice, 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 practice. Yes, I've said this over and over and over and over again. This is something that you have to do. It's a lot of practicing. I remember, again, when I first started, I thought I got a machine, I'm making masks, people like it, I'm doing some embroidery at home for myself, it looks good, it's turning out, I can have a business. So I decided I was going to do, one of the doctors that worked at the hospital that I was at had two cute little girls. And I said, well, I'm going to make them some shirts. I'm going to gift it to them. And this is just going to kind of jumpstart my business because they're going to see it and like it and want to order stuff. I didn't know at the time that was a hot mess. Yeah, it was a hot mess. I did it. I used the wrong stabilizer because you could definitely see the block through it. T-shirt, and I was using a single needle machine. Um, Everything was centered and all that kind of stuff. The colors were nice and stuff, but I just used the wrong stabilizer. That was not cool. It was not. Would I pay for it? No. And she was very nice and everything, but I'm sure she was saying, "Girl, child, you need to do this." Because when I look at the pictures and I think back, I was like, "Girl, that was embarrassing. That was a hot mess." But I didn't know. But then again, I wasn't ready. I was not ready. I didn't know I wasn't ready, but I wasn't ready because I did not know what the appropriate stabilizer was when you're embroidering on t-shirts. You don't want to see the stabilizer through the t-shirt. You just don't. And I didn't know anything about no show poly mesh at the time. And so I was using uh, cutaway stabilizer because if you wear it, don't tear it. And I was using cutaway, and it was too thick. That's just the bottom line. It was not the right stabilizer for the t-shirt. Did I know that? No, I did not know that. That was a mistake. But then again, you practice and learn. But what they told me was, you're not ready. You're not ready. So you got to practice. You need to try a lot of different designs. You need to try a lot of different stabilizers. You need to try a lot of different everything. You need to do simple stuff, complex stuff. Um, you need to practice on your placements, and that was always a challenge for me. Was draw because me and straight lines are not friends. I already told you my ruler won't stay still. For me and straight lines are not friends. I got a laser lamp that's on my table now. And let me see if you can see it. Nope. There it is. You can see that big, tall, white thing that you're looking at right there. That's the PAL laser lamp that I have on my cutting table. But I have a lamp, and I don't use it that much because I don't use my single needle machine that much. And I do have the camera on the 10 needle, so that eliminates the need to use that, but I have used it recently for certain things that I need. Matter of fact, I think I was using it for this project. I think I'm not sure, but anyway, uh, it has a crosshair, and you can line it up. I have that blue mat that keep your hoop from slipping around and all of that stuff. I bought all of the goodies that they told me to get. I bought all those little goodies and I used them. And they were definitely helpful. Leslie, you said you started on Design by Juju mug rugs and you were doing all kinds using your scraps and sport fabrics and etc. And that's a good start. That is an excellent start. Start small and go, grow from there. You have to do the mug rugs, then do the coasters, then do a shirt, do a onesie, do a bag. Just move up the line with different things until your comfort level is there. Knowing how to hoop. Hooping was another challenge for me, mainly because of the arthritis in my hand. I hated hooping. I hated hooping. I hated hooping. When I discovered magnetic hoops for my single needle machine, my life and my embroidery life changed because I was seriously considering not doing it because it wasn't fun. It was not fun. It was stressful to me to constantly try to get my stuff hooped. And I was crazy. I was trying to hoop tiles. Didn't know. Wasn't ready. Instead of floating. I was trying to literally hoop tiles, and that is a no-no for me and most people because it is extremely difficult. I was looking at a video today John Deere put out a video. I believe he put it out today, but it's kind of a rerun a little bit. But it talks about how to hoop, and he's talking mainly about how to hoop with non-magnetic hoops. And he is promoting Mighty Hoops in case you guys didn't know that. But he was talking about a good way of use of hooping non-magnetic hoops, and it was the way that I was taught how to do it. And if you do it the way he explains it, it should be easier to do. Now, I don't know if that would work for me or not, but if you have an opportunity and anybody's having an issue with hooping and you don't have a magnetic hoop, go ahead and look at that videos. John Deere and his hooping hack or hooping perfection or something along that line. If you just put John Deere and hooping, it probably will pop up. And I think he did it today. So it's one of his newer videos. But yeah, hooping was an issue until I got my Mighty Hoop. And once I got my Mighty Hoop and the hooping station, then hooping was, yeah, hooping is pretty good. And now that, well, not now because I've had them for a while, but I'm learning to use my backings for my Mighty Hoops more. And I still use my hooping station when I'm hooping t-shirts and hoodies and stuff like that. But if I'm hooping um, something that does not need to be threaded, I guess would be the best word for it. I don't know. But the backing that you use where you grip down your stabilizer and then you put down whatever your product is and then you put the top down on it. I love it. I love it. I love it. It saves so much time. It saves so much time. So, yes, that is something to think about. But always practice. Remember, the goal is not to rush, but to make each stitch with precision and care. Pay attention to what you're doing and make sure that it looks good. Uh, don't send anything out that you're going to be embarrassed by or that you would not pay money for. Um, it also says attend workshops and courses, and I agree with that if you're lucky enough to find them. Now, for me, what I have experienced, unfortunately, with live workshop and courses, I've not quite been pleased because the ones, and I've not been to many, so I don't want to knock them, but the ones that I have been to, I did not feel like I got my money's worth out of it because the instructor, I believe, was overwhelmed with the attendees because you have people with different levels that go to these courses. Some are basic beginners, some are in the middle, and some are just don't really need to be there. They're just an outing. And when you have basic beginners that don't know anything hardly, they take up all the instructor's time. And therefore, a lot of times instructors don't get a chance to finish the course. And if you are one of the ones that happen to just need a little help, not, I'm not a basic beginner, but if I'm doing a new project I've never done before, I may need to ask you a question. I may need some help. And I have felt ignored. Is that on purpose or not? I don't know. But I have felt ignored and not gotten the attention that I felt I needed. Therefore, few times the project didn't get completed. Um, one time I actually just stayed until I got done. And once people started packing up and leaving, then the instructor probably wasn't happy, but she had time to answer my questions. And so I could go ahead and get done and complete the project. But um, if you're lucky enough to go to a class that's a good class, and especially if it's a beginner class and everybody in there is a beginner and the instructor is a good instructor, then I do recommend that you do attend because oftentimes hands-on is the best. If I've always liked to go to class. Online learning and stuff like that is okay, but I've done that. It's okay. But I have always felt if I actually physically went to the class and actually was able to converse with the instructor and listen to what everybody else, this is just regular uh, studies and stuff. People, adding their little 2 cents to whatever the topic is and stuff, you learn that way. And so that's a good thing. But if you can attend a workshop, do that. If not, there are a zillion, zillion, million YouTube videos out there, and some are better than others. Be selective. Be selective. Don't pick a video as gospel just because the person doing the um presentation um, is funny or um, you guys fall, you're the same age and she's hip and he's this, that, and the other. So you want somebody to know what they're talking about. And you can kind of gauge who knows what they're talking about and that they're really good teachers. Now, I have to tell you, sometimes she works my nerves, but she's an excellent teacher. In my opinion, that's Becky Thompson from Power Tools with Threads, because she's going to go from the beginning to the end and break down every little step. If you can't get it figured out by watching her, you're not going to get it figured out pretty much because she's going to tell you everything. And that is what's needed often when you are a beginner. You need that. Break it down to me. Talk to me like I don't have a clue what I'm doing. I'm going to get something out of it. And she does that. She does a good job with that. Like I said, sometimes it kind of irritates me because I want to move it along, get to the part where I don't know, you know, speed it up or whatever. But I don't want to just speed it up because I might miss something. She might say something that is of value to me that I didn't know, even though most of the stuff I already know. So I just listen all the way through. So, that's what you do. But she is a really good teacher. Um, and there are others. There are others out there. I can't think of any names right now that really do a good job showing you how to do something and teaching you. John Deere does a good job, but he's another one that will talk you to death. So, and the only thing about him, once he gets into his subject matter, it's cool. It's just that he's gonna tell you his life story every time he talks to you. I know your life story, John. Move it on, move it on. But he's good. He will tell you what you need to know. He's I consider him an expert. He's you know he and his family have been embroidering and digitizing for decades. If they don't know what they're talking about, who does? Who does? So you you really need to pay what he says attention. Now, do you have to do everything he says? Probably not. But he's going to give you the right basics, and then you take that and run with it and do what you want to do with that. Just like his hooping stuff that he talked about today. It was good, really good information. Something I hadn't thought about that may have made my hooping experience a lot better if I had been made aware of the technique that he used. And I'm not going to tell you what the technique and all that stuff is. If you guys are interested in it, you can look it up. But anyway, if you do that, then you might do better with your hooping. And Leslie says, I've learned a lot from YouTube videos and also the influencer. And yes, that's how I learned. What I read and what I saw. is how I learned. I devoured it. I looked at it. I studied it. I practiced it. I looked at it over and over again, and I still do. I still do. I looked at some videos today because the latest trend that's out there, you guys, if you haven't jumped on, you better jump on. And that's this puff of designs. Everybody's puffing up all over. And I found out today now they're doing embossed. I was like, whoa, okay. I just heard about the puff, and now you're doing embossing. So, um, trends change. And I looked at two or three different people do the emboss today. And I had looked at a couple of people do the puff, even though I've done puff embroidery in the past. I have a video up about puff, but I had not used this particular product before. And I did um, back to my grandson's hoodie. I did the puff and the puff fabric, not the foam puff. This is HTV puff. I did the HTV puff where you actually cut it out with a cut. I cut it out with my cutting scan. First time I used my cutting scan, that was an interesting experience, but I learned how to use it. Anyway, I cut it out with the cutting scan and used the heat press to puff it up, which was a new experience for me. I was telling Andrea, I said it would be me to pick one of the newest, hardest HTV design to be my first one because I had never cut out an HTV before. I had never heat pressed it before anything, but I did the puff and it turned out fine. So I was quite pleased with the result of. It could have been a little bit better. I have to be honest about it, but it was as good as I could do it because you can't repuff. You can't heat it again. And now with the embossing, they're using the HTV, no, they're using the embroidery puff foam like what you use when you're doing hats and stuff. And it's kind of like a reverse situation. Kind of neat. I kind of like it. Um, and Kara, you say you saw the embossing for the first time today. Looks cool and pretty easy. Yeah, yeah, it does look. You just got to remember the steps, but it does look pretty easy. The only thing that I saw that looked a little bit complicated was, and I don't know who you watched, but when they do the initial stitching, pulling the puff off did not come off as easy as it does when you actually stitch it. um, I guess with a satin stitch, I guess it would be the best way to describe it because they were using the one that I watched was using a bean stitch, and the bean stitch was not letting it come up that easy. Um, so I don't know. That was the only part that looked like it was difficult. The rest of it looked pretty simple. It's just remembering the steps. As long as you remember the steps, then it should be fine. But it is pretty cool. I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna try it. I don't know if it'll be this week or next week, but I'm definitely gonna try and probably do a video. So I'll be one of the other long list of puffing people. I'm gonna do the HTV and I'm going to do the emboss. Um, and then I haven't watched them yet. I've saved them, but I there's a video with the puffing where they're doing puff and glitter vinyl and puff and rhinestone. And both of those things are intriguing to me. I think it's like double layer or something along that line, whatever it is. I saved it. I said I got to watch that because I want to learn how to do that because that really looks good. And then here you go, Carol, with your socks. We talked about the sew along group talked about those socks the other night after last week after we talked about it. And I don't have the tool yet, but I'm going to get it now. I don't know if you bought the tool. Carol, or not. But what I also found out, not only do they Etsy have not Etsy, Amazon have the little metal tool that I showed you or talked about, that where you have the adult and the kid. Well, there is a sock tool on Etsy that is plastic, and it's probably around the same cost. And Deborah, she's on here. She has used them both because she's the one that told us about it. And Deborah Vaughn, she's on here. So you might want to contact her. She's, like I said, do the at Deborah or whatever if you want to ask her a question or anything. But yeah, we talked about the socks. I am going to get the apparatus and try it, but I haven't done it yet. And but give it a try if you haven't already. And Pearl, um, where are you? I have lots of embroidery books I learned from and watching Deborah Jones' video. Yes, yes. The video, I don't have lots. I have like what, three embroidery books, but reading is fundamentals, and it doesn't hurt. And what I like about books, and then you can do the same thing, of course, I know with videos, because you can save them, go back and watch them, and I do. But I crawl up in a bed with a book, and I will destroy a book because I'm a marker. I'll mark a book up, and I'll bend a page and fold it back and go back to it and all of that stuff, and put a paper clip on it and whatever, whatever, and use that as my reference, especially if it's something that gives me good information, and especially if you have a book that has good pictures in it where you can actually, because I mean, video is one thing, book is another thing, but I I I grew up learning from books, so books are something I'm comfortable with and familiar with. And so I think that that's a good thing to get you some books. Just get you a few embroidery books and go through them. And Christian, you said you think you're going to try the embossing after you watch more videos. Yeah, watch it 2 or 3 videos, or find one that you're comfortable with. Just watch it 2 or 3 times, and then go ahead and do it. I watched two different ones, and I'm going to watch the one that I saw. Well, I probably look for another one because it's 2 or 3 of them. It's 2 or 3. It's well, it's several people out there doing them. So I'm gonna look at some more. I'm like you. I'm gonna look at some more before I actually do it. But the concept, I understand the concept. I just need to make sure I remember the steps because that's all that's important if you do it correctly. Now, I could probably tell you right now what you need and probably could tell you the steps, but as soon as I got ready to do it, it probably leave my head. I probably say, okay, what's the next thing I'm supposed to do? And Carol, you said you researched Durkee frames too, and they have a small one. What is it? 1.5 by 4 frame, almost ready to buy a 7-piece set. I don't have any. I have the 7-piece set, and I love my Durkee fast frames. I love my Durkee fast frames. I love my Durkee fast frame. That's all I can say. And what I like about the Durkee fast frame is the fact that they have the size written on the top of your frame. And that size that is written on top of your frame is the actual size that it will allow you to stitch, not the frame itself, but the inside. So if it says 4.5 by 5, whatever, then you can stitch 4.5 by 5. But that doesn't mean you don't need to trace, and it's up there on that as well. Trace. Be sure to trace. Be sure to trace. So even though it tells you what size you can put in there, you still have to trace. But I love my Durkee fast frame. Um, I probably need to get some more sticky stabilizer. I have a big roll of sticky stabilizer, but I don't know if I love it or not. I don't know if I love it or not, but yeah, get if you're serious about it, it costs money. Uh, I'm giving a thumbs up on the Durkee fast frames because I do like my Durkee fast frame. They're a good alternative to um, a mighty hoop. If you do floating, that's the perfect thing to use to float because they come in all these multiple sizes. And I used my 8x12 uh, Durkee fast frame the other day. Yesterday, I believe it was. Yesterday. And floated something, and no problem, no problem. I love it. If you want to do, and it depends upon the size, but I have a video of me doing a shirt pocket for one of my shirts, and I didn't want to stitch the pocket shut, and I basically did it just to prove that you don't have to. And I used my Durkee fast frame down in the pocket, and I was able to actually decorate the pocket and not stitch it close. So that was with the Durkee fast frame, and depending upon how small the sock is, I think I can do that with a Durkee fast frame because that's what I was going to try when doing a sock first was presented to me several months ago, but I didn't follow through on it. If the sock is big enough, because your machine got to move around and stuff, but that is an option. But yeah, I've used for the little baby hat that the newborn baby little hat and stuff. I've used the Durkee fast frames for that. Little makeup cases and stuff. I've used Durkee fast frame for that. Yeah, they're very handy. They're very handy. Um, yes, there are people that do that. They use regular stabilizer and spray and clamps instead of sticky stabilizer because a lot of people don't like all that sticky stuff and they don't want to have to clean their frames. So yes, I've seen people do that. I bought this clamp apparatus thing, but I have not figured out how to use it. I saw somebody that had it. A couple of people said that they had tried it. I bought it. I couldn't figure out how to use the thing, but there are people that do clamp their fast frames and they don't use sticky stabilizer. So yes, you can do that. Whatever spray, just make sure it's one that doesn't gum up your needles. 505 is a good spray. That's what I use mostly. Mostly. So we're talking about stay up to date with trends. So that was part of what I was going to say. That was the next thing. And we talked about the puffs. The trends change often. You can keep up pretty much with the trends by just going on YouTube every day. And I don't know where these trends come from and how they pop up so fast. And I don't know, but when you go on YouTube and bam, there it is in your face. Oh, okay, there's a new trend here. I didn't know. As I'm telling you, it was just last week where people were doing the HTV um, puff phone, and then this week everybody's doing embossed. I was like, okay, because when I first saw embossed, I said, what is embossed? Are they talking about the regular puff phone? And then when I saw the demo, I said, okay, that is embossed, and that is cute. That's different. I like it. I like it. So yeah, it's interesting. Um, and Becky, you said you have the Durkee Fast frame and you have the 12-piece set. I like them. It has the 1 and 1.5 by 4 in the set. Oh, you got the 12-piece. I don't have the 12-piece. I got the 7-piece. I got actually 8 because I have it didn't come with my set. I got it when I bought my PE um uh PE Design 11. It is the 12 by 14, I believe it is, because it's not a 14 by 14. I think it's a 12 by 14 hoop. I'm not used it yet. I have not used it yet, but I have it. So I have 8 pieces of Durkee fast frame, not 12. But I do have a small one. I'm not I think it's the 1.5 by 4. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not quite that small. I think it's a 2 by 4. I don't think it's a 1.5. I think it's a 2 by 4. But yeah, and they are making Durkee fast frames for or Durkee frames. I guess they're fast frames for single needle machines. They are making those. So if anybody's interested in that, I don't know, but they are making because a lot of people float. A lot of people do floating because that lady that I was talking about earlier that uses the 9014 needles and what have you, she says she floats everything. She floats everything. I don't float everything. I don't even float that much. I float tile. I float stuff that are really difficult to hoop and things that you definitely don't want hoop burns on. But I don't float everything. But she says she floats everything. Um, I still like that tautness with the hoop if it's possible and it's not going to give me a hoop burn. Uh, and you can get in there and do it. But some things that you're stitching, you literally cannot hoop with a traditional hoop or even maybe a mighty hoop. You can't hoop it. You have to do a float or something like the pocket situation. Like I have some makeup bags that are just short and I can't hoop them. Some totes you can't put the hoop onto it. So stuff like that. And I know some people do that with their shoes. If they don't have like a shoe clamp or something, that they will float the tongue of the shoe tongue, or the side of the shoe, or what have you. I have shoe clamps, but I'm thinking about trying to see how it would look or how it would work to float because the shoe clamp makes the design so limited in size, but the Durkee should be able to do a little better. Are Durkee fast frames, hi Karen, magnetic? No, they're not. They are not magnetic. They are flat frames where, hold on. Okay, this is a Durkee fast frame. I got sticky stuff on it. And this is actually their 2 by 4. And I think this may be my smallest one. I'm not sure. But this is the 2 by 4. And it's just a flat frame. And you put the sticky stabilizer on the back. And you then lay your fabric or your whatever on the front and just kind of stick it down. And this one says Durkee Easy Frame. I saw Fast Frame, but they're Easy Frame. Fast Frame is a whole different brand. I'm sorry. Durkee Easy Frames. Durkee Easy Frame 2 by 4 always trace. So you're going to, hopefully you can see that. You can see that. So they always tell you that. And the set comes with an arm that you hook your frame to. And this is the 12 by 8 Durkee Easy Frame that I used yesterday that is attached to the arm. and the arm goes into your A arm on your multi-needle machine. Now, depending upon what multi-needle machine you have, um, will determine what your arm will be like. And yes, Becky, they do have new magnetic frame sets. You are 100% correct. I've not paid any attention to them because I have Mighty Hoops and I don't intend to switch over. But yes, you are correct. They do now have some magnetic frame sets. They don't have the same um, variety as Mighty Hoop because they're new in the game of magnetic hoops, but they do now have some. I don't know how many different sizes or what the set consists of, but I am aware as they are also have hoops for single needle machines as well. So they're branching out. And Karen, you said, thank you. I recently got Mighty Hoops for your 10 needle machine. Obviously, not doing a business. I have a brother. Okay, so you have a brother. I have a brother. And so, what I just showed you is a Durkee Easy Frame arm for my 10 needle brother. And that is part of my 7-piece set that I have. And I don't remember what they cost. I honestly don't remember what I paid for it because it's it's been a minute. $200-300 at least 300. I'm pretty sure it was three something. I'm sure. Don't know. Cannot remember. But no, these are not magnetic hoops, but yes, they do. If you have Mighty Hoops, and I don't know what all you have, I don't see the need for you to get any Durkee Mighty Hoops, but I do see where there is a possibility that you could benefit from these easy frames with depending upon what kind of embroidery you do. I do some of everything, and that's the reason why I got it because I like I said, I do some of everything. I'll try almost anything once, just to see if I can do it and if I like it. Um, and not so much for a business per se, because when I do get my shop up and running, it's not going to be all over the place because you can't manage that. You have to have a niche and you try to stay within that niche. Now you grow in categories within that niche, but you try to stay within that niche in order to manage it. You can't just be here, there, and everywhere, or you would just go crazy unless you got a huge production team to do it, which I do not. I am the production team. So I'll tell you right now, yeah, that's not happening for me. Not happening for me. Now, I also saw a video and this gentleman was talking about 10 good advice for anyone that wants to get better at embroidery. And several of this stuff is what I've already gone over. And his number one tip was equip yourself, um, look through your designs, your equipment, all of that kind of stuff, and know it. That's what he was saying. Know your stuff. Know what you have. Know what you can do. Know your machine. All of that stuff that I mentioned. Number two was time, 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 and be realistic in your goals. Don't set out to do a project and try to push yourself to get it done in a time frame that's not realistic because you're not going to do anything but frustrate yourself and most likely mess up. And you have to take your time. You have to think out your project, especially if you're going to be doing something as a business. you need to have an idea of how much time it's going to take you to do whatever it is you're going to do. I remember last year I had this big order, and um, I mapped out my time, how many of these shirts I could do a day in order to get the whole project done within the time frame I had mentioned. And I did that. Did my I paced myself in order to do it. I didn't push myself to do it too fast, and I didn't linger to take too long. I did it within a time frame that I felt was realistic. I remember when I was in Florida and I was doing masks, and I only had a single machine at this particular time, and I had this big order from two doctors' offices had put the order in together, and it was a lot, especially for a single needle machine. I can't remember how many. I mean, it was over 100, and I was like, "Ooh, my goodness!" Because matter of fact, I even told her it was going to take me what three to 4 weeks to get it done. Because I mean, I'm just being realistic. I was working full time. I was like, I can't do that many things and come home from work and all of that kind of stuff. And I literally had to get an assembly line. I got my son and his girlfriend came over one weekend and helped me cut out the material and put the parts together, where all I had to do was pick it up and sew it and stuff, because I wasn't just putting a mask together. This was customized with their logo on it, because that was the business I had. I would customize the mask. I would put their logo on it, put their name on it, put whatever design that they requested on it. That was what I did. And so I got a stitch on all of these design, then put it all together. So I had to have an assembly line to do that. But again, I paced myself as to how many I could get done within a day in order to get it completed by the time frame I had given them. And I actually was a week behind, and that had to do with it, the design fiasco that came up, the digitizing fiasco. But anyway, got it done. So make sure that your time is realistic. Number three, read and learn and research how to do it. We talked about that, learning, all of that. So the things that I just mentioned, this particular person is saying the exact same thing. Do your test stitching. When it's something that's new, you need to test it out. You really need to test it out. You do not want to mess up anything good. When I was doing the puff HTV, I had never done HTV, period. Definitely hadn't done puff HTV. So I decided, my great granddaughter, I made her a shirt just like the dad. And I said, well, she's going to be the test. That little bitty shirt, mess it up, run, get another one cheap. No big deal. $2. Test it. So that was my test shirt. Instead of just doing it on just fabric or whatever, I said, I'm going to do it on this shirt. This way, if it turned out fine, I don't have to do it again. But if it didn't turn out fine, then I can just run and get another shirt. No big deal. It wasn't a lot of money. But I did do the test before I actually put it on the hoodie, which cost a lot more money. Plus the fact, the particular hoodie that I did this puff on the front is the same one that I had done that applique stuff on the back that I told you I had to line up and all that kind of stuff. So I didn't want to mess that up at all, because that meant I had to do the whole thing front and back all over again. That wasn't happening. Okay, so number 5 is quality. Now, when they mention quality, they're not talking about quality of your product. They're talking about quality of the material, is what he said. That means good thread. Don't just go get any kind of thread. Make sure it's good thread. I'm not telling you not to buy thread from Amazon. I bought thread from Amazon, and my machine, my SE 1900, hates that thread. It would not stitch right. Now I have used some of it on my 10 needle machine because of I needed that particular color, and it stitched out fine. But I still have that thread from 3 years ago, practically sitting there brand new because I don't use it. Beautiful thread. But when the SE 1900 didn't like it, I just put it aside. I have several spools of metallic thread that I bought off of Amazon, and I had a lot of breakage. I used it, but the breakage was crazy. I don't use that thread anymore. Beautiful thread, but I don't use it because I discovered King Star that doesn't break. So quality, and that goes to your whatever it is that you're buying, whatever it is that you're using per se. Make sure you know it's good. Doesn't have to be expensive. Just good. Test it out. If it works well for you, then it's fine. If the end product comes out good, then it's fine. That's what you want to make sure that it does. It looks good. It stitches well. It lays well. Then you're okay. I'm not saying it has to be expensive because their number 7 is frugality. That means don't jump up and buy the most expensive thing that you can just because you're thinking it's better. It's not. Just like Floriani and OESD stabilizers, you don't necessarily, Madeira thread, you don't necessarily have to buy those threads and those stabilizers and stuff. They're pretty much about the same as everybody else's thread. The colors, you got to have a purpose. Now, Madeira has the monopoly for some reason, and mainly because most designers digitizer, that's what they use. So a lot of people will buy Madeira because it's easy to match the color of the design because it was stitched out with a Madeira thread. Easy, instead of having to do conversion and stuff. I never got into the Madeira thread situation because I hated paying all of that shipping and how they did. So I'm more leaning towards the Floriani thread. I love the colors; they're so vibrant and everything. But that's just my personal preference. I started off with Metro EMB thread because that was what was recommended to me, and I still have lots of it, and I still use it. I didn't see anything wrong with that thread, and that thread was not very expensive at all, but it stitched well, and it stitches well, so I don't have an issue with it. Only reason why I'm kind of moving into Floriana is because I like their colors are so pretty and vibrant. But yeah, frugality. Don't spend a mint. Start small, then grow as your budget grows, and know your limits. Know what it is that you can do. And I'm just saying that as the business end. Don't say yes, I can do it when you're not sure. If you decide to tackle a project that you're not sure you can do, but you think you can, that needs to be made clear up front. And I would highly recommend that it's done with something that is replaceable, something that you probably have ordered yourself and you know where it came from and how much it costs and it's replaceable just in case you mess up. Not something that they bring in and they can't get it again and you try to do it and you mess it up and then what you gonna do? So I'm not saying don't learn. I'm not saying don't stretch yourself. What I am saying is be cautious. Don't take on more than you can chew, as they say. If you really aren't sure you can do it, that might be a pass up. Now, for me, like I did those 3 stoves, I did them. I didn't like doing them. I don't intend to do any more. That's not a comfort zone for me. And the main reason is because of the importance of that item. I don't want that stress on me. I don't want to do your thing. And if I mess it up and it becomes not replaceable, then you don't have a nice thing to represent. And I know the importance of graduation and marching or walking or whatever they call it and looking good and having your stole on and everybody looking at it and see it. You want that to look nice. And I would prefer that somebody else has the stress, not me. But that's just where, and I probably would turn down something else that I thought that was too stressful to deal with. I don't know. But that was just something that and two of them weren't that bad. It was that doggone satin thing that I didn't want to do. That was the kicker right there. I didn't really want to do that one. I don't like doing satin. Don't bring me nothing that's satin. I did some bridesmaid robes. I ain't doing it no more. Don't bring that to me either. I don't like that material. I don't like it. Some people love it, can stitch on it well. I don't like it. It's not my comfort zone. I know my limits. Um, Number 8, socialize is what they were saying. And basically what they mean, join a Facebook community or Facebook group. Do the live stream stuff like what we're doing here where we share. Go, just communicate with other people. Learn what they're doing, what their challenges are. Help each other. Share ideas. Help out with questions and concerns and how-tos. That's how you grow and how you learn. Um, Number 9, vary your uh, designs and stuff. Do different kinds. Experiment, branch out, just like the embossing and the puff and all that stuff. I'm going to do it because I've never done them. I've never done the embossing before, and it looks cool, and I'm going to do it. Why? Because I want to learn how to do it. And there are other things that I wanted to learn how to do that I've done. There are other things that, like I was saying, they did the puff with the rhinestone, the puff with the glitter vinyl. I want to do that too. So there's 3 different things I want to do that I just found out about within a week 10 that I definitely intended to look into and do it. And you'll probably see a video of me doing it. It gives me something to get my videos back up and working. So yes, those are things. And then number 10 is make sure you have fun. Don't get so caught up in this genre, whether it's business or a hobby, that is no longer fun. If you don't enjoy doing it, you're not going to do a good job. You got to enjoy embroidery because it's a lot to learn, it's a lot to do, and it costs a mint. So if you don't enjoy it, it's a waste of time. Don't do it. Don't do it. If you start embroidering and all of a sudden you decide I don't like it, it's not fun, it's difficult. Like when I was having difficulty with the hooping, I was getting to the point where I didn't like it. And I was seriously considering giving it up. It's not something that I want to do because it wasn't fun. I can't get to the design because I'm spending all this time trying to hoop the doggone thing. And if I'm going to spend all this time doing that, when am I going to do the pretty stuff? So if you don't like it, if it's not fun, if it's too much stress, too much of a challenge, then it's not for you. It's got to be fun. It's got to be something that you look forward to doing. It's got to be something that you want to learn, you want to grow, and you want to expand. And when you do that, then you'll be able to move forward and hone your skills the way they need to be successful with your business because you're going to be constantly um, learning, constantly growing, constantly coming up with bright ideas and loving what you see. Because I know when I first started, and even now, every time in the very beginning, every time I made something that came out right, I was tickled pink. I was taking pictures showing everybody what I made and what it looks like, and people were talking about how pretty it was, and I'm skinning and grinning, and oh yeah, this looks good. And I was loving it, loving it, loving it, loving it. And that's how I grew to love embroidery because I loved the end results. And I still do. When I put something together, stitch something together, and it comes out pretty, I am took a pink. I said, oh, yeah, this looks good. This looks good because I love embroidery anyway. I love the beauty of embroidery. So being able to do it myself and make something beautiful is fun to me. I love it. And then I really love it when I make something and give it to somebody or sell it to somebody or whatever, and they enjoy it as well. That really makes me feel good. So, yes, you need to um, make sure you have fun and don't be too hard on yourself because mistakes happen. Yeah. Back to these stoves. That very first one I did, I messed it up. I messed it up and I was so upset. Upset. I was so upset because like I said, I knew the importance of it. And I was so glad she was able to get another one on time. But then that was money I lost because I had to replace it. So then again, I ain't happy because that's money I lost, y'all. That was a freebie. Whew. Mm. But anyway, um, this was said. There's a lot to know about embroidery, and there's a lot to be confused by, but not really. So basically, what they advise is keep it simple. Don't put so much pressure on yourself trying to learn everything at once, trying to um, decide how this is done, that's done, what's right, what's wrong, all of that kind of stuff. Just pace yourself, and as you go, you will grow and learn. I started doing this a little bit than 3 years ago now. I am 110% better now than I was when I first started, when I thought I was good. And I'm nowhere near as good as I want to be. I do recognize the fact that I still have a lot to learn. And um, I want to do that. I want to do that because I want to be an expert. I do. I want to be an expert. I don't consider myself an expert yet. I do consider myself uh, well versed, but again, I got a lot to learn still. So no, I don't consider myself an expert at all. Um, that takes a lot of time. I don't know. I don't think anybody with 3, 4, 5 years of experience really could say they're an expert unless they do this every day, all day long. If you do it every day, all day long, yeah, you probably could be. But if you're not running a business and you're doing this over and over and over and over, and then again, you're expert in certain areas, it's a lot. It's a lot. I learned so many different techniques that are out there. Is like, whoa, yeah, I haven't seen this one before. I haven't heard of this before. I haven't seen this. I haven't done this. It's a lot I haven't done, even though I've done a lot. So it's a lot to learn still. And but the challenge is there, and that's what makes you grow. And with that being said, I am still honing my craft, um, preparing myself for my job. For it will be a job for my business. As I mentioned earlier, I am opening the shop, and I'm giving myself 2 to 3 weeks because I got to get my product and stuff ready to list. And once I get all my product and stuff to list, get all my pictures taken and all that kind of stuff where I can list it, then I can open up my shop. I went on there yesterday to see if I could open it up, and no, ma'am, you can't open it up until your products and stuff are ready where you can actually put them up there and list them. So I said, okay, I didn't know that. I knew that I had to do it. I didn't know it had to all be done up front, but it does. So with that being said, that's what I'll be working on in the next 2 to 3 weeks, getting all of that stuff together and getting my listing together and all of that stuff. And then I will be opening up my shop and telling you guys the name of it. And then subsequently, as I open that up, that's when I will be changing my channel name. So all of that is, I wrote into my vision book today when all of this, my goal, and when all of this is going to happen. So I think I have it listed by the 20th of May. That's the goal. That's the plan. So between now and then, that is the plan. And if it's the Lord's will, that's what's going to happen. And you said, well, what's your name going to be? It depends upon what Etsy let my name be, because as I spoke earlier today, every name that I put up there, somebody else already had. So I got to keep trying to come up with something that nobody else has that Etsy will accept. And once that happens, then I can tell you what my name gonna be. Because trust me, I had some names. I couldn't use them. I couldn't use them. Everyone I put up there, and someone's got it, and not available, and not available. So y'all got to quit. But yeah, so that's pretty much what I have for tonight. I didn't mention um, develop a business plan. Who wants that? But I got to some type of business plan, short and sweet, just to keep on track. A goal. Whew, I got a lot of work. Got a lot of work. So have I talked to? That's new, Danielle. Oh, okay. Somebody found something at the Dollar Tree. Danielle, guess what I found at the Dollar Tree? A baby onesie. I purchased them to practice stitch out. Have I seen a baby onesie at the Dollar Tree? I don't think so. I think that is new. I don't think I've seen baby blankets, socks. Uh, I bought some things my first year, and I know the little receiving blankets, thin as paper. Um, but I don't think it was a onesie. So yeah, I guess that would be new. So yes, that would be um, something new. Good, good. So I will see you ladies of the sewing so along, the social society crew so along. Tomorrow night we will be working on our totes, and we have two more tomorrow night and the first. Then we got to come up with when we're going to do the reveal. I think most of everybody's done. It's still maybe two, three people, maybe that is not that I'm aware of. But I'm pretty sure we will be done by the first. Then we should be able to do the reveal after that. And then, of course, we've already talked about what our next project is going to be. It's going to be like a lap quilt, like the size of a baby crib size quilt. So if anybody is interested in joining us and doing that, uh, as they say, the door's open. Just let me know. Appreciate it. We can, bring you on. And I know a lot of us have scanning cuts, so I think one night, I don't know exactly when, I'd like for all of us that have a scanning cut to kind of come on the Zoom and talk about it and mess with it and see what it does and what it doesn't do and how you like it and all of that, because I'm going to use my scanning cut to cut out my quilting pieces. I'm just telling you that now. That's the reason why I got it. So I'm cutting out quilting pieces and putting my seam lines on there. That's what I will be doing with my scanning cut. And so that's what I'm thinking about doing. So I know it's several of us that have them. And that's what I would love for us to do one night after we're done with our totes and before we start on the quilt. So we can talk about that tomorrow night. But thank you guys for hanging in here with me. It is, oh, wow, 6 minutes after 10. So I think we need to get on out of here and let people go to bed. Some people got to go to work, Danielle. I know you got to go. I'm sure it's other people. But anyway, I do appreciate you guys. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, please. If you like the video, thumbs up. Subscribe if you've not subscribed, please. Hit the notification bell. And again, I don't know if she's still on here, but I do appreciate Margot for the super chat. That was so sweet. Thank you so much, Margot. I do appreciate that. Um, I'm open for super chats, super thanks, however you want to do it. I'm always open, and we also have memberships, so don't forget that. So I do appreciate that. It does help the channel to grow. It helps me be able to get all of the stuff that I need to do the projects and stuff that I need to put on the channel. So thank you so much for that. It is greatly appreciated. So with that being said, I'm going to say good night to everybody. Take care. And I will see some of you all tomorrow night. The rest of you, I will see you next week if it's the Lord's will. Take care. Bye-bye.